In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Today we are talking about Eugene O'Neill and Long Day's Journey into Night. Eugene O'Neill was the first American dramatist to regard the stage as literary medium and the first U.S. playwright to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature. He was born on October 16, 1888 in a New York City hotel room. He was born in the house of James O'Neill, a famous stage actor, and his mother was Mary Ellen, known as Ella O'Neill. After O'Neill was born, his mother developed an addiction to morphine. She had been given the drug to help her through her particularly difficult childbirth. Ella was also still grieving for O'Neill's older brother Edmund, who had died of measles 3 years earlier. His father continued on with his role in a touring production of The Count of Monte Cristo shortly after O'Neill's birth. O'Neill spent much of his early life on the road with his father. Shortly before his son's birthday, however, he was sent away to the boarding school. He was not a very good student, and he spent most of the time with his elder brother Jamie, and both of them involved in alcohol consumption. So this is one of the major reasons of the death of Eugene O'Neill, that he died of alcohol. He died of excessive alcohol that he consumed. After spending so many tours and spending an aimless life, he then was drawn towards playwriting, and then he became a very good playwright of his time. He got Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1920, 1922, 1928, and 1957. Long Day's Journey into Night is an autobiographical play by Eugene O'Neill. In this play, he talks about his own self. He talks about his family. He talks about what he saw. He talks about what he felt. He talks about what he went through all his life. So Long Day's Journey into Night is totally a complete autobiographical play. He died of TB and Parkinson-like tumor, alcohol, and depression. In Long Day's Journey to Night, we have 4 main characters and some characters there who are minor characters who appear, or some of them do not appear at all, they're just mentioned. So we have James Tyrone, we have Mary Kevin Tyrone, his wife, James Tyrone Jr., named as Jamie in the play, who is their elder son, Edmund Tyrone, their younger son, and Kathleen, who is the second girl, the servant of the house. O'Neill starts the play with a letter to his wife on their 12th wedding anniversary. He writes, and I quote, "Dearest, I give you the original script of this play of old sorrow, written in tears and blood. A sadly inappropriate gift, it would seem, for a day celebrating happiness. But you will understand. I mean it as a tribute to your love and tenderness, which gave me the faith and love that enabled me to face my death at last and write this play. Write it with deep pity and understanding and forgiveness for all the 4 haunted Tyrones." So the play is set in the summer home of the Tyrone family in August 1912. The action begins in the morning, just after breakfast. We learn as the first act unravels that Mary has returned to her family recently after receiving treatment in a sanatorium for morphine addiction. Edmund, meanwhile, has in recent weeks begun to cough very violently, and we learn later on in the play that Tyrone and Jamie suspect that he has tuberculosis. Throughout the course of the play, we slowly find out that Mary is still addicted to morphine, much to the disappointment of her family members. So the play opens in a summer house. So this is the only house that belongs to the Tyrone family. It is because that James Tyrone is most of the times moving all over America because he is a stage actor, and that is why he could not set up a good house for the family anywhere but this summer house. And that is why the whole family is complaining about all this stuff, that he lived most of his life in shabby and cheap hotel rooms. And it was the hotel room where Edmund was born. And when Edmund was born, it was the first time when Tyrone's wife, Mary, she was first addicted to morphine. That the family blames James Tyrone for this reason because he hired a quack to take care of Mary when she was in her childbirth. And to stop the pain, he gave morphine to Mary. Now, morphine in those days was banned all over, and that doctor didn't know this thing, so he kept giving those doses, injections to Mary, and after that she was addicted to this thing. So because of this addiction, the doctors had banned morphine all over, but that doctor didn't know because he was not a good doctor. So family complains about James Tyrone for this reason, that he did not hire a good doctor in that a very sensitive case. So now when they're in this summer house, we come to know that after the breakfast, Edmund is constantly coughing. So this also brings to us one thing, that since Edmund had spent a very rotten life with his brother, and he alone went to the seas, having different voyages, moving about different areas of the world. So he was much into consumption of alcohol, like his brother, and he destroyed his own self. So that is why he's coughing. The family has an idea why is he coughing, but they're not able, or they're not willing to accept the fact. So later on, we know that since Mary has returned from sanatorium, she was on arrest, and she was in sanatorium for a long time because of her morphine addiction. But things tell us that she has not given up that habit, and she is not willing to give up the habit. She is with that habit, and this brings a disappointment and pessimism in rest of the family members. The gradual revelation of these two medical disasters make up the most of the play's plot. In between these discoveries, however, the family constantly revisits old fights and opens old wounds left by the past, which the family members are never able to forget. Tyrone, for example, is constantly blamed for his own stinginess, which may have led to the Mary's morphine addiction when he refused to pay for a good doctor to treat the pain caused by the childbirth. Mary, on the other hand, is now able to let go of the past and admit to the painful truth of the present. The truth that she is addicted to morphine and her youngest son has tuberculosis. They all argue over Jamie's and Edmund's failure to become successes, as the father had always hoped they would become. As the day wears on, the men drink more and more alcohol until they're on the verge of passing out in the Act 4. Most of the plot of the play is repetitious. Almost same arguments among the characters occur numerous times throughout the 4 acts and 5 scenes. All acts are set in the living room, and all scenes but the last occur either just before or just after a meal. Act 2, Scene 1 is set before lunch, Scene 2 after lunch, and Scene 3 before dinner. Each act focuses on interplay between two specific characters, Act 1 features Mary and Tyrone. Act 2, Tyrone and Jamie, and Edmund and Mary. Act 3, Mary and Jamie. Act 4, Tyrone and Edmund and Jamie. The repetitious plot also helps develop the notion that this day is not remarkable in many ways. Instead, it is one in a long string of similar days of the Tyrones, filled with bitterness, fighting, and an underlying love. Now, since the beginning of the play, all the family members have been fighting with each other. And Tyrone and Mary and Jamie and Tyrone and Edmund and Jamie, they are mostly on daggers. Like they're all the time discussing something. They're all the time arguing about something. Mary is all the time arguing about this fact that James Tyrone failed in giving a very good house to her, or even some worth mentioning place to live in. She says that Tyrone always did everything in a very humble and a simple way. He could not spend, or he could not go for first-rate item, and is all the time buying things on installments, or he's spending things or spending money on land, but not on the people of the family. He's not spending on the health of his wife and his son. So there are several complaints by the family members towards James Tyrone. So when the family members are sitting together, they are seen fighting and arguing with each other. And when they're fighting with or arguing with each other, their tone moves from downscale to the higher notes. And when they're done with that, one of them apologizes, and then they come back to the normality. And then they talk, they express their sorry to each other, and then they're in the normal talk. And then again, someone cuts such a joke or reminds such an incident from the past that they again have a high tone and they start arguing again, and then one of them expresses sorry. So this is repetitious in the play. So they are fighting or they are arguing with each other until or unless one of them says sorry. Another chief characteristic of the play is that they are all the time blaming each other. No one is accepting the blame on his or her own self. The family is all the time blaming Tyrone for his stinginess. Tyrone is blaming his sons for their they haven't done anything good in their life, or he's also blaming his wife because she could not quit the habit of morphine addiction. The sons, they are blaming each other, and that happens in the end, that they destroyed each other, especially Jamie destroyed Edmund. So there is a blame game going on all over the play. We don't see that they are accepting their own faults. If they do accept their fault, that is only for a minor time, and then again they rush to blame each other. So that blame goes on. Third important thing that strikes the reader is that Edmund is suffering from consumption. He's suffering from tuberculosis, and that is primarily because of his alcohol consumption. So, regardless of the fact that he should not go near alcohol, the whole family is offering him alcohol time by time. We see in the beginning that his brother notices that he has had his draught of wine. He tells him for once that he should not drink it, but again he offers him. Same happens when Kathleen, the servant, looks at Edmund that he was sneaking and drinking wine. She gives a moral lesson to him, and then again she pours a big glass to him. Then comes Tyrone. Tyrone himself is against this, saying that he should drink, but he himself is again offering him drink. So this again continues, and by the end of the play we see that Edmund probably would be the only person who has consumed most of the alcohol in the house. So as far as his rest of the family members are concerned, he was the most in that. So So there are certain more things that they like their past. All the family likes the past. Mary, for example, likes the time she spent in her father's house. James Tyrone often recalls the time when he was a stage actor, and he was a famous stage actor. Fame dwindled because he left the Shakespearean plays or tragic plays, and he came to the melodramas. So this is why the family was suffering from these issues. So now we have the detailed summary of the play. So the play is set in the family room of Tyrone family home, and as the play opens, the family has just finished breakfast in the dining room adjacent to the family room. James Tyrone hugs his wife, who has recently returned from a rehabilitation for an addiction to morphine. Mary is pleased because she has gained weight as a result of rehabilitation, and during this conversation Mary expresses her displeasure that James' investment strategies, spending so much of his money on real estate, are not going well. In the next room, Edmund, their younger son, experiences a coughing fit. Mary thinks that it is a result of a bad cold, but James knows more about it than he reveals. James reminds Mary that she has to focus on her own health, and Mary gets defensive because she doesn't want to accept the fact, or she doesn't want people to know about this fact that she's still going on with morphine. When Edmund enters with Jimmy, his elder brother, it is obvious that Edmund looks ill in health. Jimmy notices how much better his mother looks these days. The conversation then takes a dark turn, though, when the brothers begin mocking James for his snoring. James Tyrone, on the other hand, criticizes Jimmy's lack of ambition. Edmund tries to diffuse the situation with humor, but that fails, and he suffers another coughing fit. Mary believes Edmund is sicker than anyone is admitting. After Mary leaves the scene, James berates Jamie for insinuating that Edmund is ill in front of Mary. The decision to keep his illness from her is an important part of her recovery. The rest of the family believes that Edmund has contracted tuberculosis. Edmund disagrees with the idea that his condition should be kept a secret from his mother, because he wants his mother to know what he is suffering from. Later, Mary struggles with the desire to take more of the morphine prescription than she should. She claims that her medicine is for her rheumatism, but the maid Kathleen knows this is untrue. Mary takes a nap and awakens with a deep feeling of resentment towards her husband due to the life she feels she missed before her marriage. In her emotional pain, she resolves to head upstairs and take more of the medicine before the rest of the family returns home. But Edmund and James return before she can. Both the men are drunk but sober enough to see that Mary is high on morphine. They squabble and insult each other. Mary and James eventually ease the tension by recalling the happier times. Eventually, Mary is told about Edmund's condition. Mary refuses to believe it and blames what she sees as an incorrect diagnosis of the doctor, whom she believes to be substandard, hired only because he is inexpensive and charges only $1. More hateful arguments ensue, revealing that Mary's own father had died of tuberculosis. And at the end of the fight, the family disperses into separate rooms, and it is believed that Mary will take more drugs while she is alone. Act 4 begins with Edmund returning home to his father for playing solitaire. They drink together, argue, and also enjoy a meaningful conversation. James believes that he ruined his acting career by taking jobs just for money. Edmund reveals he hopes to be a great writer someday. Jamie then returns drunk, and Jamie leaves to avoid a fight. Jamie passes out, and when he awakens, fights with his father. Mary returns from upstairs high and clutching her wedding gown. So this is the last stage. So this shows that she is highly intoxicated, she is highly drugged, she is high on her morphine. She laments the life choices while in her morphine haze, and her family sadly looks on. One of the major themes of the play is the interaction between guilt and blame that is seen here. So whenever we see that, whenever there are certain things that we need to notice, that whenever Mary is taking morphine, she's going closer to her past time, the time that she lived, the time that she spent with her father, the time that was a happier time with her. So she blames James Tyrone for this thing, that because of him she had to leave her father. So to her father was a godly figure, and it was the best of life she was living. So her wedding gown reminds her of her marriage. In the same way, James Tyrone has a wallet that reminds him of his success when he was a good stage actor.